your cell phones now. Now. That's the educator. On behalf of the president, the officers, and members of the Athens Westmont section of the National Council of Negro Women, we want to welcome you to our program. My name is Tracy Walker. I am one of the many Legacy Life members that we have in our section. I have also been given the task of promoting. We have an artist, writer in the building by the name of Janae Washington. She has published a book called Bye Bye Black Skin. The books are $15. There are also pre-order forms if you like to order. And I'm quite sure that her email address is here if you'd like to contact her directly, as well as her phone number. So please, if you can, help support a young artist, one of our own today. At this time, I am going to ask Reverend Dr. William Thurman, Pastor Emeritus of the Park Windsor Baptist Church, to please come forward as he does the invocation.
Now the crowd is here, I think it's time for me to preach my sermon. I can get ready for Sunday. But I did ask one of my little sisters if I could remind us all of something. When you go home to leave here, please take a look at the 12th chapter of Exodus. That after those persons who had an affinity with people who looked like you, they were released from a thing called bondage. They went through a ritual. And then someone said, when your children ask you why you're doing these things, tell them. And I would suggest to you that's what the writer was trying to do now, telling the children about who we are, where we've been, what we have accomplished. Let us pray. Oh God of yesterday and our tomorrow, we thank you for this day's gathering, for calling us each by name and allowing us to arise from slumbers and bringing us to this moment. We pray your blessings upon those who have prepared to present to us a part of yesterday, that we may learn from our yesterday and conquer our tomorrows. Be in our midst in all that we do and say. Elevate our thinking. Enlarge, O God, our vision. In the name of the one who have called us your children, we do now pray. Amen.
Amen. Again, thank you, and you are welcome.
Lord, why did you make me black? Why did you make me someone the world wants to hold back? Black is the color of dirty clothes, the color of grimy hands and feet. Black is the color of darkness, the color of tired, beaten streets. Why did you give me thick lips, a broad nose, and kinky hair? Why did you make me someone who receives the hatred stare? Black is the color of a bruised eye when someone gets hurt. Black is the color of darkness. Black is the color of dirt. How come my bone structure is so thick? My hips and my cheeks are high. How come my eyes are brown and not the color of the daylight sky? Why do people think I'm useless? How come I feel so used? Why, when some people see my skin, they think I should be abused? Lord, I just don't understand. What is it about my skin? Why do some people want to hate me and not know the person within? Black is what people are listed when others want to keep them away. Black is the color of shadows cast. Black is the end of the day. Lord, you know my own people mistreat me. And I know this just isn't right. They don't like my hair or the way I look. They say I'm too dark or too light. Lord, don't you think it's time for you to make a change? Why don't you redo creation and make everyone the same?
Mommy!
Coming, Mommy.
The other day, she said she overheard Molly talking to God in her bedroom.
Okay, but I talk to God in my bedroom all the time. It's called prayer. What's so wrong with that?
Not that kind of talking. She said she heard Molly asking God why he made her black.
Shut the front door. What? Girl, now you know that's crazy. Well, I'm not the one to say that I told you so. But didn't we plead with her not to move to Virginia?
Racism. Well, just because we elected an African American president, they thought things would change. But they didn't.
You know, 8 years is enough time for folks to get comfortable. But were you listening to KPFK the other morning? When that rapper, what is his name? Snoopy the dog or what? 1, 2, 3, or 4 chains. Well, one of them said that he is sick and tired of seeing movies about slavery. And then another rapper, hey, Lil T Stain or Big Papa, well, one of them said that he has never experienced racism before. Since mostly those white kids purchase his music. Now, can you believe that?
In the meantime, he's calling women the B word and the H word and using the N word more than the slave masters. I guess he's tired of seeing how our ancestors gave up their lives so he could have the right to abuse free speech. If he's never experienced racism, where in the... Do you think he got his rap style from?
You know our history is real. With white folks denying what happened and black folks getting sick and tired of what happened, the current issues of our ancestors is getting lost. Year after year. There's a new movie about the Jewish Holocaust, Schindler's List, The Pianist, The Zookeeper's Wife. But you never hear Jews saying they are sick and tired about seeing movies about the Jewish Holocaust. Without the courage and skills of our ancestors, this new world here, it would be a failed experiment.
I know what you mean. Well, speaking of history, what time is it? Remember, we're supposed to listen to KPFK tonight. Tonight they're replaying Melissa Harris Perry's program in honor of Black History Month.
In the past decade alone, January 24th, 2004, Timothy Stansberry, Brooklyn, New York, unarmed. November 25th, 2006, Sean Bell, Queens, New York, unarmed. January 1, 2009, Oscar Grant, Oakland, California, unarmed. January 29th, 2010, Aaron Campbell, Portland, Oregon, unarmed. July 18th, 2011, Alonzo Ashley, Denver, Colorado, unarmed. March 7th, 2012, Wendell Allen, New Orleans, Louisiana, unarmed. September 14th, 2013, Jonathan Farrell, Charlotte, North Carolina, unarmed. July 17th, 2014, Eric Garner, Staten Island, New York, unarmed. August 9th, 2014, Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri, unarmed. In the past decade alone, these men and hundreds of others have lost their lives to police. Local police report to the FBI killing at least 400 people a year. From 2006 to 2012, a white police officer killed a black person at least twice a week in this country. Which brings us back to Ferguson, Missouri. According to a report in the Daily Beast, in 2009, police officers charged a man for property damage because he bled on their uniforms while they arrested him and allegedly beat him bloody. Ferguson, Missouri, where it took 6 days to release the name of an officer who shot an unarmed teenager to death. Ferguson, Missouri, where police released images of someone who might be Michael Brown involved in a store robbery, and then hours later said the robbery had nothing to do with why Michael Brown was stopped by the police officer who killed him. Ferguson is just outside St. Louis, Missouri, the place where, as historian Blair Kelly reminded us this week in The Root, Dred Scott sued for his freedom on the grounds that he and his wife had for many years lived in a free state. His case eventually went to the Supreme Court, and in 1857, Chief Justice Roger Taney declared that Scott had no right to sue because, as a black man, he was never intended to be an American. Speaking on the cause in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, Taney wrote, quote, "It is too clear for dispute that the enslaved African race were not intended to be included and formed no part of the people who framed and adopted this declaration." And he went on to say that black men had no rights which the white man was bound to respect. No rights which the white man was bound to respect. No rights which the white man was bound to respect. No rights which the white man was bound to respect.
No rights which the white man was bound to respect. I don't know if I can take any more of this. Let me see what else is on this thing.
Day 207 of the Trump administration was truly unlike any other, not just for this president, but in the whole of presidential history. We have never had a president give Nazis the benefit of the doubt. We've never heard a president equate the white supremacy movement, the racists, the bigots, the Nazis, with those in moral opposition to their message. This was an emotional day for millions of Americans because we've never heard a president like this and we've never had a president like this. It's especially emotional for those alive today who survived the Nazis the first time around, and for those whose fathers signed up to go defeat them and save the world. It's especially hurtful for those Americans who don't need to be told what it means to see white men carrying torches on a hot night in the South.
See? This is the kind of stuff that goes on here in Virginia. It's no wonder why Malika's mother is asking her why God made her black.
They had torches. The only thing that was missing were the white sheets and the pointy hats.
Oh my goodness. The more I listen to the news, I can't tell if it's 1818 or 2018. If more people knew our history, I would believe that they would realize the impact that our history has on us today. Our history is real.
Yes, it is. Scripture says it best. By their fruit, you would recognize them. From slave-owning presidents on down to the current president, you would know the tree by its fruits. And right now, America's fruit smells mighty strange.
I see what you did with that right there. The more things change, the more things stay the same. I think we better begin our rounds.
The more things change, the more they stay the same indeed. No rights which the white man was bound to respect. Well, I vote that we start with the ladies tonight. Hey! Oh yes, it's ladies' night, and it feels alright. Woo! Come on, girl, what you doing? Come on now. What's that sound? It sounds like rushing water. Maybe a kite. Well, we better go check it out.
Enterprise.
Huntress.
Isabella.
John Bull.
Hannibal.
Henrietta Marie.
Hope.
Kitty Amelia.
Lady Henry.
Othello.
Princess Royal.
Ruby.
Venus.
Wanderer.
Wildfire.
Will.
Welcome aboard the slave ship. These are just some of the names of the 35,000 ships, the ships that made 35,000 voyages carrying over 12 million enslaved Africans.
More than 35,000 voyages.
More than 12 million enslaved Africans.
More than 35,000 voyages.
Let me say this one more time. More than 12 million enslaved Africans.
During the first leg of the voyage, the ship sailed from Europe to Africa, carrying manufactured goods like rum, copper, guns, and gunpowder. And they traded these goods for precious black gold at trading posts along the west coast of Africa. Now, once the human cargo was loaded, the ship sailed to North and South America, known as the New World. The route between Africa and the Americas was called the Middle Passage.
It is believed that the Portuguese started the transatlantic slave trade. They were the first to raid the African coast to capture slaves in the 15th century. The raids were very dangerous, so they used African rulers and African merchants to help supply the slave trade. The slave trade was very lucrative for Europe and the New World, which caused economies to thrive and increased the demand for free labor.
Insurance companies, shipbuilders, gun manufacturers, plantation owners, and every merchant that sold goods, traded slaves, they all benefited from this insidious institution. The introduction of guns to the African continent made it easy for tribal rulers to raid enemy villages, to supply slaves in exchange for European imported goods.
50% of the slaves were captured during the West African tribal wars. 30% were taken prisoner for punishment for crimes and/or indebtedness.
The remainder were kidnapped by black slave traders. More than 20 million, I repeat, more than 20 million Africans were stolen from their homes and sold as slaves. But roughly half survived the journey to the coastal trading posts.
Capture marked the beginning of slave indoctrination.
Drum roll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow us to describe the rules of dehumanization.
Are you ready for this? Rule number 1. Once the captive, the slave, the savage, you can use either word you like, they're all interchangeable. Once they're captured, begin and intensify physical violence. Also, emotional trauma. Tie them around their necks with chains or leather thongs. Also, a little footnote here, that male slave, very difficult to subdue, so make sure you keep your eye on him and keep him tied very tightly.
Rule number 2, let's mix it up a little. Place tribes of different tongues in each slave grouping. That way you limit communication and the possibility of insurrection and the plotting of escapes.
Rule number 3, pack the slaves as tightly as you can in cages and dungeons and limit their access to mobility and life. They will stay in these cages for days, weeks, even up to a year. The journey to the trading post on foot could take weeks, so be certain they would welcome this period of rest. But be forewarned, do not remove the slaves from the dungeons or the cages before the ships arrive at the trading post. You don't want them to get out. You don't want them to escape.
Well, now it's time to load the cargo on board the ship, which brings us to rule number.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. Gotta drop another footnote here. The light will be blinding to the savages once you remove them from the dungeon. Do not be disoriented by this. Please remain forceful. Do not relent. I repeat, do not relent.
Rule number 4, prepare the savages for examination by the ship's doctor or captain. Strip them down naked to their bare skin and remove every evidence of their tribal identification.
Can you believe this? I have another footnote. I need to interrupt one more time. Again, do not let the disposition of the slaves deter you from what you have to do. Keep in mind, most slaves, if not all of them, have never even seen a white man before. Most have never even heard or seen of the ocean, the large ocean. So talk of these white men and the sight of this ocean up to this point was mere folklore.
Rule number 5, after the slaves have been examined, if they pass the test, brand the male and female with the first letter of the slave ship, but make sure you use a very hot iron and make sure that the mark that's left is in places where it can easily be seen, like the face, the abdomen, or the back.
Rule number 6, when loading the cargo, place the slaves as close together as possible to maximize space. Place them so that every crevice in the ship is used. In some instances, place the slaves in between the legs of others. Another footnote. Keep in mind, with this closeness, a lot of the slaves will have extreme illnesses. Things like diarrhea, nausea, and dysentery. There will often be an outbreak of smallpox. Listen closely. Throw every savage overboard. You do not want these diseases to spread. You're going to lose approximately 15% of your cargo anyway, and packing them close increases that possibility. Sounds like a catch-22 to me.
Rule number 7, keep the male slave shackled below deck, but allow the female to move freely in the hold and on the decks, as the captain and crew will need bed warmers during the voyage. It is very important to make sure that the African male sees the female with the crew, as this will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The male and female will become demoralized at the realization that there's nothing that they can do to prevent it. This will also help to break them. The good news is, if the female becomes impregnated during her time on the ship by captain or crew, its value will increase as the unborn child will become a slave at birth.
All right, about 16 hours in the hole, about 16, rule number 8, about 16 hours in the hole is enough. Bring them aboard for a little exercise. And how are you going to do this? Use some whips and chains and tell them to sing and dance. Let that be their exercise.
Well, you know the slaves are going to need something to eat. So rule number 9, feed the slaves small portions of rice, beans, corn, or yams, no more than twice a day. Keep a close eye out for slaves trying to commit suicide by starving themselves or jumping overboard. If you catch a slave trying to jump overboard, you got to brand him, you got to get him, and you know what you do when you do that? You cut off his limbs in front of the others. The other thing is, if a slave refuses to eat, force feed it by prying open his mouth and finding any metal device aboard the ship to force them to eat. That way, you can deter whatever you want, because you got it.
Have you heard enough? We have one more rule for you. Rule number 10. Keep an eye out for insurrection. Even though the slaves speak different languages, they can be clever. At the first sign of revolt, cut off the head of the ringleader, throw his body overboard, pick up the head, put it on stakes in strategic locations on the ship's deck, so they're visible when the slaves come up for food and exercise. Be sure your crew is in full compliance to ensure an adequate ROI.
That makes me laugh. ROI. She's just so fancy. What she is saying is, don't kill off too many slaves, as the ship captain is paid by the head. A large inventory will guarantee a high return on your investment with ROI. She's a funny one.
Brooks. Christopher.
Commerce.
Desire.
Diamond.
More than 35,000 voyages. More than 12 million enslaved Africans.
Did you find anything on your side of the building? Did you see any broken pipes or water leaks?
Oh, I feel like I can do something.
No, sure didn't. That's mighty strange. After that horrific journey across the Atlantic, things got even worse. When that first slave ship landed in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619.
Virginia.
Yep, people experienced the unthinkable on those plantations.
Especially the slave women. They worked in the fields for the overseers and in the master's house for the mistresses and underneath the master by night, if you know what I mean.
You know, the worst thing that could happen to a little slave girl was the start of her menstrual cycle. You know, she became a woman then. And potentially the victim of every male on the plantation, slave or free.
By 1808, it was illegal to import Africans into the New World. So, what were the plantation owners to do?
What did they do?
They had to breed their own slaves. And I tell you, those plantation owners, they didn't permit or accept marriages of the slaves. So the child of the slave was subject to be sold.
Well, when you generate your own labor force, you reduce the price you have to pay for the laborers, which meant more money for them.
Well, the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. But that word evil understates the misuse by those plantation owners of them their slaves.
Girl, don't I know it? Well, Z, let's knock out these rounds on this floor.
Yeah. Oh, there she is. Look at those eyes.
Well, I bet if she could speak, she'd have quite a story to tell.
I bet she would.
Well, Z, it's about that time.
Yeah, we better go do our lunch.
See this face? See this mouth all twisted over so I can't shut it? See this eye? It's all red, ain't it? Been that way for 80-some years now. Guess it'll be that way till I die. You want to know about slave days, do you? Well, I'll tell you what slave days was like. Old Massa was a well-meaning man, but old Mrs. was a common dog. In the house, old Mrs. was so stingy and mean, she didn't put enough on the table to feed a swallow. And here's how it happened. She put a piece of candy on a washstand one day. I guess I was about 8 or 9 years old at the time. It was my job to empty the slop every morning. I see that piece of candy laying there, but I didn't dare go near it. I was powerful, hungry though. I didn't have a father working in the fields to bring me eats like the other children. I see that piece of candy laying there, but I didn't dare go near it, because I know old Missus just waiting on me to take it. Then one day, I was so hungry, I couldn't resist. So when I grabbed it, I took it in my mouth and I chewed it up real fast so Mrs. wouldn't catch me with it. The next day, Mrs. said, "Henrietta, did you take that piece of candy off my washstand?" "No, ma'am. I ain't seen no candy." "Child, you're lying. You did take that piece of candy off my washstand. Did, missus? I tell the truth. I ain't seen no candy. You're lying. And I'm gonna whoop you. Please, missus. Please don't whoop me. I tell the truth. I ain't seen no candy. She grabbed a piece of rawhide down from the nail by the fireplace, and she put me across her knee in the rocking chair, and she began to lay it on real hard. But I kept on twisting it and turning, so she couldn't get in no good solid lick. Then she called her daughter in from the other room. Her daughter took the rawhide like her mama told her, and she took the strap and she began to lay it on real hard. But I kept on twisting it and turning so they couldn't get in no good solid lick. Then one Mrs. picked me up by my feet, and she put my head under the front leg of a rocker as she rocked forward so as to hold my head still. And she rocked forward some more so as to hold my head still some more. I guess they must have whooped me like that for about an hour. The next thing I remember, I was laying on my pallet in the hall, and the doctor was there prying and digging at my face, but he couldn't do nothing with it. Seems like that rocker leg pressing on my young bones and turned them all to soft pulp. I reached up and touched my face, and I couldn't feel no bones there at all. And I couldn't chew nothing, only drink milk. I guess Mrs. must have felt bad because she'd get the doctor to come regular after that and dig at my face. He finally got it to where I could open my lips. But my jaw, it kept sliding over to the right. And I couldn't do nothing about that. I ain't never grown no more teeth on that side. Ain't been able to chow nothing good since. Don't even remember what it is to chow. Been drinking liquids and soups and stews ever since that day. And that was 86 years ago. Here, put your hand on my face. Right here on the left side. That's what slavery days was like. Had me going around looking like a false face on my life. What children laugh at and babies cry when they see me. 'Cause I don't mind no more. I don't even think on it. Unless when I see somebody staring at me real hard, wondering what devil got into me, made me born this way. And it wasn't a devil done it. A she-devil was burning and twisted in hell. I used to see her staring at me after that, without knowing that I knowed it. I guess she got tired of having me around. When I was 13, they gave me to Massa's cousin. Was with them till slavery come. Stayed on same as before, but they give me a little money each month. Was with them when I got married. After I got married, I heard old Mrs. died. Sure didn't make me drop no tears.
The last time I saw them, they were in this room.
Oh. Girl, you would lose your weave if it wasn't sewn onto your head. Where's the maintenance?
Maintenance, yes, we are. And?
You are killing me.
Yeah.
You were just killing me.
Wait! Here they are. Now, where's my flashlight?
Oh my goodness, my goodness. Okay, you are killing me again, and again you're killing me. You would lose and left them around for the whole world to see and to find them? Come on, we need to check the back room and get ready for that mandatory meeting. Girl, look, they got us in the maintenance department. Hey. Oh, Lord. So, when she was working at the ticket counter, some big lurch-looking dude came up to her, furious and beside himself because his flight was delayed. She said he started cussing and yelling.
No, I know it's not that good.
She says he started screaming at her. Lady, do you know who I am? Lady, do you know who I am? She said he said it over and over again.
Then what happened?
Well, you know our girl, right?
Yes, I do.
When she had finally had enough, she picked up the microphone to the PA system and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, is there a doctor in the house? There is a man at the counter who does not know who he is."
Well, that's good. That's real good. I guess he went and sat his behind down. I know he had to. So what happened?
It's just being disrespectful.
Been very
So
disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
I don't know. Some folks just don't have feelings.
Good evening, ladies.
Hey!
Hey, y'all. See, how can you?
Oh, doggone it. I almost forgot. We have to go to that mandatory sexual harassment seminar.
That's where we're headed. We'll meet you over there.
Okay.
I am trying to find my flashlight.
Okay.
You know what? I forgot about that meeting. I really forgot about that meeting. You know what? Now all of a sudden everybody and their mama is talking about sexual harassment. Well, where were these same women when Anita Hill was talking about it?
What did old Uncle Tom say? This is a high-tech lynching. No, this is about that hair on that Coca-Cola can, bro. His nasty self. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Jinx.
But you know, seriously though, anybody want to hear about harassment? They need to talk to our great-great-grandmothers. They could tell them what they're going to say. What did Zora Neale Hurston say? The black woman is the mule of the world.
The black woman gave birth on a plantation. She had to become the wet nurse for her mistress's children and nurse them too. And there was no point in her building a bond with her own child because that child was probably going to be sold.
And you know that Missy, she would turn a blind eye to an old master and her sons going down to the slave house to rape slave women.
It's no wonder that when the feminist movement started, black women were wondering what white women had to complain about.
I know that's right. But Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, you know, they stood side by side with white women, fighting for women's rights. When the black woman wasn't even recognized as a woman.
Right. I know that, and you know that.
Yes.
But we still got to go to that seminar, so you better get down.
Excuse me. I said, may I say just a few words about this matter y'all talking about today?
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, children, with all this racket going on, there must be something out of kilter. I think twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North all talking about rights. These white men gonna be in a fix pretty soon. What's all this here talk about? That man over there, he say women should be lifted into carriages and helped over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helped me into no carriage, over no mud puddle, or gives me any nice place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arms. I have plowed and planted and gathered in the barns, and no man can head me. And ain't I a woman? I can work as much and eat as much as a man when I can get it, and bear the lashes well. And ain't I a woman? I have bore 13 children and seen most of them all sold off into slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but my Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Then that man, this thing they talk about in the head, what's that thing called? Intellect. Intellect, that's it, honey, intellect. What's that got to do with Negroes' rights and women's rights? So, if my cup can't hold but a pint, and yours could hold a quart, wouldn't you just be mean not to let me have my little measure full? And that little man over there in the black, he say, women don't need as much rights as no man because Christ wasn't a woman. Where'd your Christ come from, sir? I said, where'd your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man ain't had nothing to do with him. Now, if the first woman God ever created was able to turn this world upside down all alone, I think these women gathered here today can get it back and turn it right side up. And now they talking about doing it. And you men's better let them. Obliged for you hearing me out. I'm old Sojourner Truth and I ain't got nothing for
I said, now who done it? Who done let him get elected president? looks like you might be a Trump supporter. And how about you? Stand up, let me take a look at you. You look like you might have a yellow belly. Don't try to children know that freedom ain't free? No, it ain't free at all. But I suppose when you was born a slave like I was, you can't hardly think about nothing but what it means to be free. I expect most of you knows who I am. But children, let me tell you, I've been called lots of names during my lifetime. Okay. And slave ever was my least favorite. I was born a slave in Maryland in 1820. My mama named me Araminta, but folks call me Minty for short. Folks say that Araminta means lofty, but I didn't know what that means then. I worked on Master Ed Broder's plantation until 1849 when I escaped up north into freedom. I changed my name then to Harriet for my mama and Tubman for my first husband. But for long, my family and friends started to call me Hat. After I was freed, I decided that I wasn't going to serve no master but God Almighty. After I was freed, I devoted my life to the freedom of others. Let me think. Lord help old Hat remember. I worked with the Quaker abolitionists and with Frederick Douglass, and I worked with John Brown. I helped him to recruit Negroes for his Harper Ferry attack. Old John used to call me General Tubman. And then about that time, folks started calling me Moses, for they said that I was helping to set God's children free like Moses in the Bible. Heck, by the time of my last journey in 1860, I done made about 19 trips back down to the South and escorted 300 slaves up north to freedom. I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years. And I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. I helped the Union soldiers recruit Negroes to fight in the Civil War. And I fought and worked right alongside them as a cook and as a nurse. I know them woods so good, they made me a spy and a scout. But they say I was the first woman to lead an attack during that war, and we freed 700 slaves at one time. After that, I kept on doing God's work. I worked with the women's suffrage movement, trying to help get us women folk the right to vote, even though a whole lot of us black women and black men still having problems. I pulled and pulled and pulled out my life as an offering to the Lord, all for the sake of freedom. So many of us did it with our blood, our sweat, and our tears, and even our lives. Lord, there's so much to remember from that time. But now they tell me that there's more black folks in the jailhouse than in the schoolhouse. Which it means they done lost the right to vote. And even worse, many of you that can come out the house to vote won't come out the house to do it. Lord have mercy. I never thought I'd see the day when black folks can go to vote about any time they want, and they just don't do it. Lord, don't y'all know you're giving up one of the onlyest powers you got? Freedom ain't free. Freedom comes with a price. And even Jesus himself paid the price for freedom. I only got one question left for you. Is who's gonna be your Moses now? Because you sure enough need one. Yes, indeed. I reckon they can take the shackles off your body, but they can't take them off your mind. You got to do that for yourself.
All right now.
But then if you don't know you're a slave, I reckon you don't know you need to be free. Okay. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
Human trafficking. Victims are subjected to force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of sexual exploitation or forced labor. It's happening in Thailand, Cambodia, United Kingdom, Germany, the Netherlands, Mexico, Brazil, Canada, Australia, China, Japan, Ghana, Poland, Senegal. It's happening right here. The United States is a source and destination country for thousands of men, women, and children taken captive against their will. In the United States alone, more than 244,000 American children are at risk of child sexual exploitation. Within 72 hours, a child runaway is propositioned for sex right in your neighborhood. Don't see it? That child on the swings at the park could be a victim. That woman who jogs by on your street could be a victim. Your server at your favorite restaurant could be a victim. Open your eyes. It's happening right next to you.
Trafficking. Someone trafficked me, spread me wide open. Now I'm left struggling to cope, and someone trafficked my soul, left me on a road, took control of me. Now I've been bought and sold. Someone trafficked my childhood, stole my innocence, violated what was supposed to be private, annihilated my inward parts. Now I'm left broken-hearted. Someone, the system, my mother, my family left me unguarded. Now I have to deal with this jiltedness and brokenheartedness. Someone trafficked me. Me. Dressed me with enticement. Bathed me with lust. Lotioned me with distrust. Disguised my pain, all for their gain. Someone trafficked my heart. Literally tore it apart. And now I'm all grown up, I don't have a clue where to start. And because they trafficked me as a little girl and introduced me to a grown woman's world, my emotions became sterile. I couldn't promote me. I was deluded. I couldn't promote love. I was polluted from all of the Johns that had taken advantage of me. My entire life story seems a bit convoluted. My rite of passage was a blood-stained passport. Over and over again, it was the streets I saluted, made me think I needed them. It was my body they stamped. I can't even begin to count all the children I had to abort. A passport of pain, a passport of emotionless. I could not produce love. My soul has traveled to places that remain unknown. They sold me a lie. I was a modern-day slave on a predatory auction block. Used my body to fund their private stock. Gave up my freedom. Made me think I needed them. I'm not an automobile, nor a street to be trafficked upon. I bleed blood, not oil. I have a heart, not a transmission. I have a soul, not an engine. I was never designed to be anyone's necessary provisions, nor commission, but they trafficked me with great precision, left pain as an incision. I was bought and sold. Trafficking became my prison. What happened to my body should have been my decision, but they trafficked me with great precision. They put more frequent flyer miles on me than I could ever redeem. But ironically, I used those miles to purchase my own freedom. No one will ever traffic me. No one will ever traffic me. No one will ever traffic me. That's right.
To break every chain, break the chains falling. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We hear the chains. We hear the chains falling, falling. Lord, I hear the chains. I hear the chains. They are falling. Hear the chains falling. If you believe it, say you hear the chains. I hear the chains falling. Oh, we hear, Lord, in the Spirit. I hear the chains falling. To break every chain. It will break every chain. The power of God, it can break every chain. Break every chain.
Another round of applause. Next we have a AWS and an AWS regular. He's our little son. His name is Ian Macklin Sims, and he will be performing for you Afro Blue.
Shades of
This next brother coming to the stage, I got a chance to meet this cat because he's my next door neighbor, and I was shedding one day in my living room, and he threw some rocks up at my window, like, who the heck is that? Like, dude, who the heck are you? Come to find out, it was Mighty Mo Rogers, man. This is an international recording blues artist, and I ain't gonna stop here talking no more. Mighty Mo, come on to the stage.
Thank you all for coming to this wonderful event. I'm honored to be here. I have the privilege of touring the world with our music, blues. I'm overseas a lot because that's where they really respect our roots. We're doing something that's monumental. When you know your history, you know who you are. When you know who you are, you know where you've been, you know where you're going. And if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. I'm an old dog. My father, not my grandfather, my father was born in 1885. 20 years after slavery. I'm 75 years old, had me when he was 60. What? Go ahead, preacher. Now understand something. You put two 75-year-old people back to back, you basically in slavery. People always say, that was a long time ago, forget that. Oh, forget that, please forget it. No, it was yesterday. We've gone from the slave house to the White House. From the slave house to the White House in less than 200 years. That's monumental on what we've overcome. Because we lost everything. Everything. And here we are today celebrating. And if you know your history, especially the kids who don't know, we're doomed to do things that we shouldn't do. I stand on the shoulders of giants. My father, like I said, was born 20 years after slavery. Went through all kinds of things. Became successful, started a business, and did what he had to do. I did the census of my father for World War I because they had to do a registration. In 1917, he had his own business. Wow. He was a tailor. Charles Fred Rogers, and it said tailor, owner of business. 1917. I get heartfelt and tears in my eyes when I think who we are and what we are, and those who don't know what and who we are. We have to tell our kids and our grandkids, and those who don't know, we have to teach them. I used to teach school, gangbangers so-called. Kids didn't know who they were. And 99% of them, they weren't bad kids, they just didn't know who they were and what they were. When you taught them their history, and they would never destroy one another after that. So it's our duty, it's our destiny, it's our right, we must teach the kids who we are. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. This song is from my first record. It's called Blues Is My Wailing Wall. About us. Blues is my wailing wall. Blues is my wailing wall. Blues is my wailing wall. I hear it call to me, I hear it call. I hear it call to me, I hear it so much. I got a few records here I brought. I did this record, my lady, it's called Griot Blues. I did it with an African. His name is Baba Sissoko. Brilliant African. Played with the Chicago Jazz Ensemble, and he's great. And we recorded it in Europe. It's going to be released here this year. And it's about our history, blues, Afro-Americans, and Africa. I went home to do this. Thank you.
Hello. This is my favorite floor in this whole building. The floor of the arts. Gospel, opera, jazz, blues, you name it. I just love it up here. Wow, look at Miss Anderson. Doesn't she look majestic?
Yes, beautiful. Yes. You know, Lincoln Memorial, April 6, 1939. This sister here brought a crowd there first. I guess you could say it was in protest because of that racist group. What were their names? I can't remember. Oh, I remember. The Daughters of the American Revolution. They refused to let her perform at Constitution Hall. What do we call that?
Segregation. Long past slavery, Jim Crow ran black folks from the South. They called it the Great Migration when they left the South and went up north to the big cities, you know, New York and Chicago and Detroit. They came up there for work and to be artists. But even in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, segregation still had a stronghold.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But on February 26, 1939, Eleanor Roosevelt sent a letter to the chairwoman of the Daughters of the American Revolution, resigning her post. Yes, she did. And President Roosevelt, he helped Miss Anderson to sing at Lincoln Memorial. And he also had her on the radio. And more people heard her than could have ever fit into Constitution Hall. I tell you, it was spectacular.
Ooh, I bet it was.
She sung so beautifully. Oh, that alarm is going off again.
We better try and go fix it.
Yes, we better.
Check your pocket.
Oh, it was my cell phone.
Put that thing in your locker.
I did. But I don't know what happened. I just can't get that song out of my head.
Well, we better go back and check what's going on back here.
Yes, let's go back.
Louis Armstrong. I sung with them all. I won 13 Grammy Awards, sold over 40 million albums, and performed at top venues all over the world. Not bad for over there. Well, I guess somebody's going to ask me to sing. Oh, you don't want me to sing. All right. Fellas, do you know Summertime is All That Time? right, we hit it, fella. All right, Ella. Summertime and living is easy.
Go ahead, Ella.
Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich, and your mom is good looking. So won't you hush, little baby? Don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Oh, and then you will spread your little wings, and touch to the sky. But till that morning, there's nothing gonna harm you. No, darling, with mommy and daddy standing by. Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh, till that morning, there's nothing gonna harm you, no, little darling. Mommy and daddy standing by. Oh, but these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. And then you spread your wings, your little wings, and take to the sky. But till that morning, there ain't nothing gonna harm you, no, little baby. Your mommy and daddy standing by. Your mommy and daddy standing by. Your mommy and daddy say Hollywood, Hollywood, Hollywood.
videos. All producers assured me I had talent, but not one to give me a job. Oh, but my brother and sister, Sam and Etta, they were having a wonderful time in Hollywood. Etta was booking small roles in films. And Sam, he was on a radio program called The Optimistic Do-Nut Hour. It was called The Deacon and the Doleful Deacon. Oh, and the Doleful Deacon, he gave me this great big party when I got to Hollywood. It was on Central Avenue in Club Alabama. Oh, so many people were there that night. Now, 2 weeks after the party, I was on my way home from work, domestic work. Feet hurt, tired, and evil. Ella met me at the front door with some good news. Hattie, Mr. Butler called. Oh, what is he doing? You have an audition 8 o'clock in the morning at Paramount. Maybe I should wear my lucky dress. Child, I done told you now. If you want the job, you better wear that maid's uniform you got on. Yes, it was that. Hey, I done told you. It's yours, Miss Little. Child, if you don't get with the program, you ain't gonna make no money here. In applying for these highly sought after roles, you must properly enunciate them and those. In order that your station in life is clear, you must enunciate in the proper vernacular. These, that, this, them, and them. Keywords in Hollywood for colored folks to say, roll your eyes and slide your feet and say, share watermelon, very, very sweet. First you practice lowering your chin. Then speak clearly, these, those, and them. And let them feel that your station is clearly beneath by keeping your mouth wide and show lots of teeth. Forget all that high stepping you learned to the beat. Slouch down, dangle your arms, and shuffle your feet. Just remember, girl, it's only a job. Remember who taught you. Oh, my God. These, that, this, them, and them. Keywords in Hollywood for colored folks to say, you must roll your eyes and slide your feet and say, this your watermelon, very, very sweet. Work to satisfy your pockets, not your soul. Remember the coal mine that don't live in no hole. Good things come from hard work and strife. Girl, this is your livelihood, not your life. These that, this, them, and those. Get the money, then turn up the nose. These, those, that, them. Get the money, then move next door to them.
I thought you turned the cell phone off. You know we're not supposed to be listening to music up here.
I did, but you know what? It just seems like there's another song I can't get out of my head.
Wow. You know, I can't think of two more influential African American women in their day than these two. Mary McLeod Bethune and Dr. Dorothy Irene Height. What they did for civil rights and women's rights is truly legendary.
Oh yes, you know, but the barriers that they crushed, that seemed indestructible. But they just persisted, and they opened doors for so many women, regardless of their color. You know, looking at what they accomplished in today's lens, it doesn't seem to be that hard. But remember, Mary McLeod Bethune. She was a daughter of former slaves. Wow. And Dorothy Height, when she was a child, she had severe asthma. They didn't expect her to live past 16 years of age. But she took those same lungs and she was one of the best orators of her time. She even received a scholarship at a college. When black women at a Hart University was as rare as four-leaf clover.
Wow. Together they were forced to be reckoned with.
Yes, they were.
You know, they had appointments and positions with 9 presidents. Coolidge, Truman, Hoover, Roosevelt, Eisenhower.
And also, you know, Reagan and Clinton and Bush and Obama. They knew them almost by name. And they also had an open invitation to the White House. That was 9 leaders, 9 administrations. They sat at the table for change with both Democratic and Republican presidents. Yes, they did. You know what? What's wrong with your stomach?
The minute you said table, it started growling. Can we go to lunch now?
Okay, they're gone. So, as I was saying, Dorothy, we can always do more together than we can do apart.
Yes, like when we worked with all those presidents, even though they didn't like civil rights, they had the good sense to act like they did.
Yes, and remember when I told you how President Coolidge and I worked together at the Convention on Child Welfare? And President Hoover appointed me on the Commission for Home Building and Home Ownership, and then invited me to work on the Committee for Children's Health.
Yes, you know, I counseled President Eisenhower on the desegregation of schools.
Right.
He sent those troops into Little Rock to integrate Central High School. When the Supreme Court ruled on Brown versus the Board of Education, even though I don't think he agreed with the court's decision.
You know, the White House was like a second home to me after the Roosevelts took office.
But Roosevelt, don't you mean Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
No, ma'am, I don't. Never underestimate the power of a woman. Eleanor Roosevelt did more to shape this nation than any other first lady before her. President and Mrs. Roosevelt called me friend. They placed a great deal of trust in me, both professionally and personally. In 1935, I was the special advisor to President Roosevelt's minority affairs.
I know.
And also in 1935, I founded the National Council of Negro Women. You know, President Roosevelt and I, we had a very special relationship. But Eleanor Roosevelt and I were the best of friends.
Mary, you and I both know that change isn't possible without friends from the other team. Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth taught us that. Without the help of those white abolitionists, slavery probably wouldn't have ended.
Dorothy, I guess you could call us the movers and the shakers when it seemed impossible to move or to shake.
Yes, ma'am, we were. Do you remember when you asked me to volunteer at the NCNW luncheon and to greet First Lady Roosevelt?
Yes.
There I was, a young black woman, hobnobbing with the First Lady of the United States. Boy, you could have knocked me over with a feather. From that day forward, I was on your team. And boy, oh boy, did you put me to work.
Darling, I told you, NCNW needed strong women just like you. Next to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, you know, NAACP, NCNW did more to educate children and enrich the lives of all the women. More than any other organization of its kind, we networked together and we provided support to each other to build a better world for women and children.
Yes, indeed. And because of your vision, NCNW still does that today.
Good.
There is no doubt in my mind that your relationship with President Roosevelt paved the way for those brilliant hidden figures. Dorothy Vaughan, NASA's first African-American manager. Katherine Johnson, the first African-American woman to work on the first human space flight. And Mary Jackson, NASA's first African-American female engineer.
Yes. These women gained access to opportunities which ultimately changed the course of America's history. Astronaut John Glenn's mission was successful because these women had access. When the playing field is level, everybody wins.
And you know, education makes it all possible.
That's right. And that's why more than any of my other accomplishments, Bethune-Cookman University is my crowning jewel of achievement. When I started that school in 1904, we had about 6 students, 5 girls and my son.
Yes, I remember.
Back then we called it Daytona Normal and Industrial School for Negro girls. And thanks to Booker T. Washington, I learned how to find donors to give contributions to grow that school. I caught on quickly. John D. Rockefeller and so many others gave us money. I wasn't afraid to ask.
Good thing, because a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
That's right, Dorothy. What's yours?
My what?
Your crowning jewel of achievement. What is the one thing you are most proud of when you look back on all your accomplishments?
Let me see. Well, in 1946, I led the charge to integrate the YWCA centers.
Remember that?
Now, in 1957, I became the president of NCNW, which is one of my greatest honors of my life. So in 1963, I helped organize that historic March on Washington.
Right.
And in 1971, I became one of the founders of the National Women's Political Caucus, along with Gloria Steinem, Betty Friedan, and Shirley Chisholm.
Okay.
Now, in 1994, President Clinton awarded me with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And in 2004, President George W. Bush gave me the Congressional Gold Medal. Let me see. Oh, I think I have it.
Well, what is it?
Mary, I lived to see the election of the first African-American president. Barack Hussein Obama. And the two of us became friends. I visited that White House a record number of 21 times after his election. And each time was more beautiful than the first.
My. Now that is a crowning jewel. We never thought we'd see the day.
No, we didn't.
But for a minute there, I thought you were going to mention that postage stamp you received a year ago about this time.
Well, you know, you didn't mention the one you received in 1985, so I thought I'd just keep that one to myself.
Here comes the higher help.
We're maintenance engineers.
What are you talking about?
Didn't you just call us the hired help? Lady, it's been a long night. Let's knock out these rounds on this floor, please. Thank you.
Dope black woman that was, dope black woman I am. Morning mantra, hear me roar. Say my prayers, prepare for my day, then head out the door. Promise I'll be better than yesterday, better more tomorrow. Cause these beautiful little girls need someone looking like them to keep them wanting to keep looking like them. Keep them aspiring to be better, want better, be someone else's inspiration. So I follow in the footsteps of the many beauties before me. Dope black women. These women are everything. Powerful. Powerful. Listen to me one more again. Powerful. I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about the beautiful women who paved the way for us in history. The educators, the politicians, the everyday women. And my favorite, the creators. Out here defying everything in the name of individuality, because out of them, I have arrived. And so I stand here in front of y'all, able to be at my highest capacity of dopeness for today. Because my dopeness comes natural, but it takes practice to keep it this way.
All right.
I'm talking about prayer, beauty sleep, fighting the crazy thoughts in my head, while not fighting the crazy people in the street. But understanding that I will not hesitate. Let's just be clear. I hail from Brooklyn, New York. Dope black woman I was, dope black woman is me. Afternoon mantra, hear me roar. Need a pick me up, the day is long. That's the dope black woman price to pay. Put in work, pay your dues, and pave the way for the loved ones after you. Never forget to go back for them either. We put up with so much, but this ain't new. History of the dope black woman, they've been here too. Always gotta prove our worth to somebody, because first strike, we're black. And second strike, we're women. Then third strike, we just even exist. But little do they know we've been dope, because first of all, we're black. Second of all, we're women. And above all, life exists not without us.
Come on.
So let's just be clear about the power that we hold, because somehow people still out here getting it confused. I am always available for clarification though. I am a force to be reckoned with. Dope black women of the past, I get it from them. Shake things up, then proudly two-step on out of it. I do not come here to be average.
Come on. Right.
Dope black woman I was, dope black woman I'll be. Nighttime mantra, hear me roar. I almost whispered quietly, but that'd have been a bore. My voice may be soft, but my presence is out here screaming. This is not a game. This is not a drill. This is real. I'm about that life in the flesh, fighting for what I believe in, doing better than my best. Education, community, creators. The history of the dope black woman is the course. Life is administering to me the test, and I am passing with flying colors with all the wrong answers by society standards. If I played by those, would I still be so dope? No. The history of the dope black woman shows us women who were trailblazers, open doors, disregarded society norms, my kind of girls. So I flourished into that kind of girl, born with the passion in my DNA, living to let it grow. The dope black woman that was means everything to me. So in her name, I stand here. The dope black woman I am is me, and I will always be. The history of the dope black woman. Thank you.
If you can't support me, and if you can't endorse me, then get out of my way. Go ahead now. You do your thing, and let me do mine.
Then I looked at them dead in the eye and said, "Goldfish," and walked away.
That was my message to the big cities.
And did you drop the mic, Miss Chisholm?
No, that wasn't a thing back then in my day.
I can't think of one accomplishment you achieved that was a thing. I mean, no one had the power and the guts to challenge politicians the way that you did. In 1968, you were the first African-American congresswoman. And in 72, the first African-American from a major party to run for president. And if that wasn't enough, after the election, you served in Congress for another 10 years.
Yes, before Hillary Clinton and that handsome husband. I am.
You still have your accent after living in Barbados as a young child. Did anyone ask to see your birth certificate when you ran for president?
No, but if I had a dime for every time someone would say, "Shirley Chisholm, are you serious?" I would have died a rich woman. When I stepped out there to run, I had decided the time should come that a black person and a female person could be and should be president of these United States, not just white men. So I decided that somebody had to get it started. So I did. In spite of being scrutinized by the critics and receiving death threats, I ran. My campaign slogan was "Unbought and unbossed." I took so much flack from men and women, black and white, but I had to ignore them. I wanted to be a catalyst for change, a candidate for the people of these United States. My campaign was based on racial equality, equal rights for women, Medicare, employment, education, fair housing, and the reducing of penalties and sentences of the use of marijuana.
Well, it seems like the country has finally caught up to your way of thinking on at least one of those issues. Now that marijuana is being legalized for recreational use, it seems like we'll all be doing the puff puff pass just to get through these next 3 years. But seriously, Ms. Chisholm, your service paved the way for Hillary, Barack, and countless other underrepresented peoples. Sure, we're still fighting some of the same battles of your day, but I think we take it for granted when a black woman participates in a congressional election and wins, all because you had the pleasure of being the first one.
Yes, I always say, if they don't give you a seat at the table, then bring your own. I still have faith and believe that we're smart enough to correct our mistakes. I mean, President Obama's election is proof of that.
Yes, but before Barack became president, I've never seen him challenged on so many levels. I mean, thanks be to God that he persevered, but there were really moments where we wondered why he volunteered for this job. Life as we knew it came to a screeching halt. But you know what I've learned? Being president doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you are. As a young girl growing up in the south side of Chicago, my parents taught me that I could do and be anything that I wanted, as long as I worked hard in school. So I did my very best just to be able to accomplish some of my dreams. But waking up in the White House every morning, next to the first African American president, was far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I mean, we were still the same, but the world was completely different. There's no amount of education that can prepare you for something like that.
Yes, First Lady Obama, but education did open the doors for us both to live our dreams, some dreams that we didn't even realize that we had. You see, there are some dreams that the Lord prepares you for and sustain you through. When I ran for Congress, I was well aware of the double and triple standards that existed in my day. I knew that I had to be 2, 3, or 4 times as good as those gentlemen in Congress because of who I was. I tell you, I felt like a Martian from outer space, but the whole world was watching. I was not there for the voters. I was there for the voters, and not for anyone else. You see, I felt so all alone, as though everyone was waiting for me to die.
I know exactly how you felt. But like you, I learned rather quickly that when someone tries to put you in a box, you must be true to who you are. The critics went nuts when I made reference to living in the White House that slaves built. But that was their shame, not mine. You see, Miss Chisholm, the way I see it, survival through bondage and oppression made our ancestors far greater than any of these modern-day superheroes. Because no amount of kryptonite could keep them down. We have accomplished that which our ancestors gave their lives for, and our survival is proof of that. And because of our horrendous past, we have a completely different story to tell than that of the elite who have absolutely no idea about what it means to struggle. If your only reference is from being in the top 1%, then how can you quite possibly relate to the other 99? Our nation's wounds have yet to be healed, but our history is real. And if we can acknowledge that and share it, then we encourage others to keep on climbing. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to use my platform for change and to be a role model. But lately, it seems as though the nation is not headed in the right direction.
Yes, I know. But everything can and will change. I mean, I'm looking at change right now as I'm looking at you.
Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the wrong woman ran for president?
No, never in a million years, not gonna happen.
Never say never. Remember, it took a little black woman to bring 300 of her people out of bondage. And it took another black woman to stand up and say that she was sick and tired of going to the back of the bus to start the civil rights movement in this nation. Strange as it may seem, it may take a black woman to bring us all together.
Yeah, but it won't.
Well, Kenya, I think that this night is history. history.
Yeah, girl, let's go say goodnight to Malalia's ear.
Lord, why did you make me black? Why did you make me someone the world wants to hold back? Black is the color of dirty clothes, the color of grimy hands and feet. Black is the color of darkness, the color of tired, beaten streets. Why did you give me thick lips, a broad nose, and kinky hair? Why did you make me someone who receives the hatred stare? Black is the color of bruised eye when someone gets hurt. Black is the color of darkness. Black is the color of dirt. How come my bone structure is so thick? My hips and my cheeks are high. How come my eyes are brown and not the color of the daylight sky? Why do people think I'm useless? How come I feel so used? Why when some people see my skin, they think I should be abused? Lord, I just don't understand. What is it about my skin? Why do some people want to hate me and not know the person within? Black is what people are listed when others want to keep them away. Black is the color of shadows cast. Black is the end of the day. Lord, you know my own people mistreat me, and I know this just isn't right. They don't like my hair or the way I look. They say I'm too dark or too light. Lord, don't you think it's time for you to make a change? Why don't you redo creation and make everyone the same?
Why did I make you black? Why did I make you black? Get off your knees and look around. Tell me, what do you see? I didn't make you in the image of darkness. I made you in the likeness of me. I made you the color of coal, from which beautiful diamonds are formed. I made you the color of oil, the black gold that keeps people warm. I made you from the rich, dark earth that can grow the food you need. Your color's the same as the panther's, known for her beauty and speed. Your color's the same as the black stallion, a majestic animal is he. I didn't make you in the image of darkness. I made you in the likeness of me. All the colors of a heavenly rainbow can be found throughout every nation. And when all those colors were blended well, you became my greatest creation. Your hair is the texture of lamb's wool. Such a humble little creature is he. I am the shepherd who watches them. I am the one who will watch over thee. You are the color of midnight sky. I put the stars glitter in your eyes. There's a smile hidden behind your pain. That's the reason your cheeks are high. You are the color of dark clouds formed when I send my strongest weather. I made your lips full so when you kiss the one you love, they will remember. Your stature is strong, your bone structure thick to withstand the burdens of time. The reflection you see in the mirror, the image looking back at you, is mine.
Giving honor to God. Thank everybody that came in to support our program. All I can say is, wow. This was an excellent program. I really
would like to thank Lori. Where is Lori? Lori. Mastermind behind this play, and she had her supporting cast. Can the supporting cast please step forward, please? All the folks that were on her committee, please stand forward. So we have, if you look on the back of your program, those are all the folks that supported Lori, and I have to say, Lori, with her effortless hours that she put in practicing with these ladies. I mean, we were at Mingo's T-Bar, we were at Sandy's house, we were just all over the place. And I just want to thank all the ladies that committed to this play. It was definitely... I just want to thank Lori for her patience, her love, her talent, her creativity, and she wrote this whole script and produced it. And I also like to thank Poncho for giving her. Busy schedule as a wife, a mother, a sister. I believe her sisters came in from out of town. Her sister and her nieces. Yeah. And as a single instructor, she took time out to do this for us. And we appreciate Lori. We love her. We thank her. And we just want to give all these ladies a round of applause. Everybody that was on the program, Pastor Thurman, he was the one that kind of created this Athens Westmont section. He was the mastermind behind that. So thank you, Pastor. Thank you to my family and friends. And my manager, she back here, so she see what I do. Good, thank you, Carolyn. So thank you guys. Enjoy. Oh, and Andre. Where's Andre? Oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Andre.
We have Andre, we have Michelle Gamble, Elder Damon, Marsha Gamble, the Knox Presbyterian Church. We have all these guys over here on the instruments, the Baxters. Baxter? Oh, the sound, okay, Baxter. And did I cover everybody? The band. And this is dedicated to Janae Robinson and Brother Carl Evans. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And you know what? I'm remiss. Gussie Harris and her crew.